Okay, there we go. Took me a while to fix that webcam. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Magic Arena, and today we are going to be continuing the second half of our Challenger deck. So previously I covered the mono green and I covered the mono red. Some parts I was pleasantly surprised with, some parts I was surprised was not part of it. Now today we're going to be covering, we're going to start covering some of the dual color decks this time. So we'll start out with the Dimir Challenger deck. So this one is actually the old version of Rogues. This is not even the one that we currently see nowadays. The one that has Lurrus of the Dream Den to recycle Ruin Crab and Rogue again and again. So take note that because these are Challenger decks, they're not exactly pushing companions. So we probably should consider adding a companion here because frankly, okay, that's a little bit of story time here. Most of the deck's losses would be because of this mana base here. 17 basics. It doesn't sound bad at first until you realize that it's critical that you're able to cast spell. Like, you want to be able to cast Soaring Tall Thief turn 2. That's a given. That's not going to happen if you have all islands or all swamps. You want to be able to say, like, cast Thieves Guild Enforcer into Soaring Tall Thief. That's not going to happen if you're missing one color. You want to be able to have enough for your removal. That's not going to happen if you got all islands. In fact, now that I'm paying attention to this, it's 18 and 28. Why are the lands equally balanced? And if, in fact, when you do most sideboarding, you're adding more black cards, you're cutting a lot of blue cards. There really should not be this many islands. And I guess this is probably, and this is probably a big major fault here. In fact, I'm going to take a look at the Challenger deck list. Nope. No, there really is 25. 17, 8. Yeah, that's 25 lands. It looks good on paper until we encounter some faults there. But otherwise, the core sequence is here. Thieves Guild Enforcer, Soaring Tall Thief. You can between these two, it shouldn't be a problem to hit 8. The payoff is a little bit different. Our payoffs are usually a big Nighthawk Scavenger or getting something off our opponent with Zareth-san. Now, surprisingly, Zareth-san is an interesting fit here because we have Sultai Ultimatum seems to be the flavor of the month right now, and being able to steal one of their payoffs is actually not so bad. And in fact, I will say that we have a very good pre-game 1 usually, especially when we're able to go off. But sideboarding, we always have a problem. I guess it's a case of the Rogues deck here suffers a lot from the success of other Rogue decks. And as a result, we can sideboard, but other decks have a better sideboard against us than we do against them. But that said, what we'll do is, as usual, we will go through we will take a jaunt with this deck as is, right, straight out of the box. I'll probably play at least 4 matches with this one, whether I win or not. If I lose, I'll probably just well, my ranking is pretty much flat platinum at this point. I don't think it matters if it gets beat up even more. So what the heck? Let's go with it, and let's fire this up. Let's see how we do here in the queue. Now, normally it should be easier on these event queues compared to actual rank. At least that's my theory. So, but your mileage may vary here. And right off the bat, we're looking at another Lurrus deck. So, and we're not exactly gonna win with a Drawn in the Lock for 0. So this one's an auto mulligan. It's a shame because we have the perfect mana right now. And this is what I'm talking about. We got something for turn 1, but we got nothing afterwards. That said, I'm not gonna mull down to 5 here. I'm going to just present the Wind Robber. Then we're literally knocking on wood that we draw a black source. Otherwise, this is really game over. And it turns out our opponent's playing white. Oh, it's cycling. It's even worse. We need to be fast against this, and it's not gonna happen if we don't draw a black source. Also of note is that our method of eating the graveyard is it's selectively eating, but you don't have the option to eat a lot of cards off the graveyard. So if we don't draw a black source, no. Yeah, this is where you have having the 8 basic islands really hurts us. I might... Now, there is no sense in hiding this one because Merfolk Rin Robbers only played in Rogues. I also have to start thinking, what exactly are we sideboarding out towards? Maybe our opponent can do us a favor, cycle to 8 cards so we can sack the Wind Robber and knock into a black source. Our opponent's actually willing to go all the way. We don't exactly have a counter. Well, we're actually way behind at this point. And yeah, we're gonna concede. We did not draw the mana. So the triple island did not really pan out here. So that said, negates come in because the Heartless Act, not so much, because all our opponent's creatures are small. The Blood Chief's Curse does come in. Vantress Gargoyle, this one's... Most of the time I side this out. In fact, I'm probably going to side in the Pestilent Hazes here and just side the Gargoyles out. But there are other cards that are weirdos. Like the Malakir Rebirth, we can let that go. I'll probably put in a Cling to... Actually, no. This is probably the perfect time to put into the story. Our opponent doesn't want to side out. So we're going to put that. We're going to side out the... We're going to keep the Black Bloom Rogue. We're going to probably side out the Rankle because that's more expensive. I'm going to keep the Nighthawk Scavenger. Our opponent has ways of sniping flyers, but the threat of being able to gain life is something, so we're going to keep that. If I can only do something about this mana base here, like literally, the 8 islands are killing us. I have a feeling that's... At the very least, I would have made it a 10-7. But I think this is actually closer to an 11-6. The problem is you want to have blue mana on turn 2, and having the 8 tap lands is not enough. So we're definitely keeping this. We're gonna... Opponent's really gonna mull hard here. So we're gonna start off with just the Thieves Guild Enforcer. Actually, we might just do the 1-2 Thieves Guild Enforcer into Merfolk Wind Robber. We are not in... We can't exactly... Like, I would love to play this first, but I'm not leaving value off the table. We will try to hold negate as long as possible. Though... Okay, opponent's slightly helping us there. Yeah, the islands are really killing us. So having to play this early hurts us. That said, what we can do is basically next turn if we don't draw another land, we will just use Black Bloom Rogue, hold up negate. We'll probably set up for into the story. Our opponent might have removal at this time. No, it's just a Valiant Rescuer. We can drown in the lock that. It's tempting. Our opponent is a ways away, so... Yeah, let's take that out. It still puts our opponent at 7 cards, so not 8, so there's no reason for me to do it prior. But basically, I need to... as long as our opponent hasn't hit the magic number 4, we're kind of fine. Granite Stinger, cycling 1. So now Thieves Guild Enforcer is live, so I'm actually willing to swing now and trade. Like, we only need 8 cards in the yard. We don't need to have that many. Well, that changes... I take it back. That changes things. Now, we have to be careful that Zenith Flare is an instant, so... So I'm really hoping our opponent goes for the cast first. Probably not. They though, just Granite Healer. We can trade into that. Cycling, gain some life. The Lurrus is also a problem. I probably should put in a Cling to Dust if we somehow manage to win this game. Another Blood Chief's Thirst. I'm going to encourage our opponent's not going to trade. Okay, that's actually good for us. So we're kind of hoping our opponent plays out... Okay, opponent's still playing out their lands. Flourishing Fox, that's a good Blood Chief's Thirst target. Cycling. Okay, so Zenith Flare's off the table. So we're in the clear to Into the Story. Opponent's still cycling. They're aiming for the big one. My concern is if they have 2 Zenith Flares. One is enough to wreck us even if it doesn't win immediately. Oh, by the way, I do prefer the Jeskai version because it... If you're not playing on a budget and don't need this and can afford to play more than basics, having access to blue is not so bad. Between the Startling Discovery and the Boon of the Wishgiver, that's actually good sauce. So we're actually gonna go for the draw here because, well, one, our opponent kind of virtually tapped out. 2, we need to have extra lands if I'm going to. And basically, I want to start drawing into our other counter spells. Like, Second Negate's good. And so is the Drown in the Loch. So, one, we're going to punish the Fox. Now, I'm trying to think if we might replace this with a rare that that's actually better as a board wipe, but no real guarantees there. Anyway, so we can afford to play the long game of sorts. I need to really hold all these up. Now our opponent has 4 Zenith Flares in deck, so we need, well, we got 3 counters so far. Opponent is cycling instead of playing it out, so one, it makes the haze bad, but our opponent is literally digging. Or they're trying to set up for the Lurrus, in which case we have to save a Drown in the Loch. Yeah, they set the Lurrus up. We could go for hand removal, but not so great here. So we'll hold. Okay, got 4th Drown in the Loch now, so So we're actually going to just snipe this. And play another Wind Robber. Because based on our opponent's mana, they will only be able to... They're only going to be able to cast 1 Zenith Flare. And because they're cycling, they're not going to be able to cast Lurrus. So my play is to just... Okay, my end turn. Soaring Taw Thief, very good, but we're going to... I don't think we're gonna need it this time. Opponent does have a lethal Zenith Flare. Now, if we start milling Zenith Flares, it does give me more confidence. The fact that we haven't milled any means we really should hold these counter spells. We only get to counter 2 though. Zenith Flare, negate. So the Lurrus is gonna slide. It might even be Zenith... Oh, Lurrus. So I actually have to let that go. Because our opponent's still threatening Zenith Flare with this last card. And we have to assume they have it at this point. If they cast something that's a 1-drop, I have to let it go. No, they cast a 2-drop. And they're cycling their last card out. So we can actually just destroy this Lurrus since our opponent just went shields down. And that just signaled that they only had a land. So we'll play Soaring Taut Teeth. That's on second Zenith Flare. That said, we can still lose to two back-to-back Zenith Flare, so this might not have been the smartest play. I could have just saved this one till, well, I could have just left that Lurrus alone. Oh wait, nope. Opponent had the Fabled Passage, so we're safe there in the sense that we're not gonna try to mill out our opponent. We're down to one counter spell. Yep. So we managed to get that win off. That's nice. Now we're on the Agonizing Remorse. This one's been quite questionable for me. So we need to just be aggressive in drawing into counter spells. So, which means if it doesn't pan out, we're in real trouble. And Pestilent Haze is still probably good here, because our opponent could have easily gone wide if we hadn't just drawn the Bloodchief's Thirsts. I guess an alternate plan would be to have Agonizing Remorse, snipe some Zenith Flares out of their hand, and be able to snipe other things. One thing's for sure, Zareth is not exactly panning out here, because this doesn't seem to be the... I don't think Zareth's actually gonna play much here, so we're actually gonna sub him out. Like, what are we gonna get back? We're just gonna get back Stingers. We don't exactly have Cycling. We might get a Footfall Creator, but that doesn't really help us much. So, turn 1 Enforcer, turn 2 Drown in the Lock backup, and some removal. I'll try to save the Drown for as long as possible. That's the key part here. Which might be a problem if your opponent goes Flourishing Fox turn 1, so... I might actually be okay for me to take the damage initially. We're gonna do some cycles. We'll play. Yeah, usually they all in cycle at this point. Now, 3 mana is still not an issue. So, okay, we got a Pestilent Haze, so I will play the Dismal Backwater since I only care about countering one certain spell here, so everything else is not going to quite kill us. That said, we do need to hit... I would prefer to at least hit 4 lands, because I... So opponent plays Valiant Rescuer. All of a sudden that... Okay, so we're gonna go on hold. Temple of Deceit's actually good. Into a swamp. Probably need more Gaston lands at this point. I can see a future where I could use the swamp. Right now, this is not quite fatal yet, so... But I'm still not gonna attack. I probably should have eliminated this one if I'm not worried about the Zenith Flare right now. The flip side is, what I can do is I can just... Flourishing Fox. Let our opponent cycle. We will just use Eliminate on the Fox. Please play a creature. I'm not gonna trade off that easily. Okay, we're just gonna eliminate this one because this one can grow out of Pestilent Haze range. puts our opponent at 8 cards. So now I feel I don't mind swinging at this point. Okay, we did hit our 5th land after all. So I want to Pestilent Haze immediately. It just sets our opponent at 9. I'm going to swing first and see what the situation is. Now, I might want to save the Pestilent Phase for when our opponent plays Lurrus. Opponent double blocks with this. That's expected. Opponent has like 10 cards. Yeah, that's fine. So I need to decide. If I go Pestilent Haze now, I'll be stretching for an out against Lurrus and whatnot. If I play Nighthawk Scavenger, our opponent could just Zenith Flare that. We'll just take the hit for now. This is a feel bad, I'll be honest. Opponent plays a Fabled Passage. I also have to start doing a mental count. Opponent has 2 lands here, so Zenith Flare is like 9. Dranith Stinger, perfect. All according to... In fact, what we can probably do now is... Now we can... Next turn, we can go Pestilent Haze and have drawn in the lock back up. In fact, our opponent is going wild here, so we probably... The problem is we need an out. We need to draw something against this incoming Lurrus because I am already forced to Pestilent Haze. Opponent afraid that I might have a flash creature. I don't. It's actually good for me that our opponent has some fear. Okay, drawing lands is not great, but still better than nothing. Make sure we click the correct one. I have not seen the 2 loyalty counters part ever be relevant yet. Opponent probably should cycle once. Yeah. I probably would not have chosen that. I think our opponent's expecting to get the Lurrus to stick. If he casts it now, I'm just going to counter it. Because technically, oh no, Valiant Rescuer. No, that's fine. Cycling 1. Okay, so our opponent did not have it yet. So now we have Nighthawk Scavenger drawn in the double drawn in the lock back up. I probably just, but I do need to start dealing damage up top. My concern is if our opponent has Shredded Sails. Nope, goes for the Lurrus, so... I don't know if our opponent has the... I'm gonna just go for it. If it kills us, it kills us. This probably is a mistake though. You probably should just let this go. Knock on wood for one of your kill effects. Because, no, opponent cycle, so did not have the Zenith Flare yet. So we have a race on our hands. Opponent's probably going to be pressured to swing at Valiant Rescuer now. Oh, doesn't swing at all. Okay, so we will hold up both. Because this is going to be a race, but it's going to just... We're going to be net +1. Well, no, we're going to be even at this point. But the fact that our opponent's giving up permanence is still kind of fine for us. However, it doesn't help us if we don't draw any more gas because this will outpace us. And I might be forced to even use the Drown in the Lock on the Valiant Rescuer if that happens. So we're now even. However, any Zenith Flare is lethal, so... Let's see. Into the Story would be great. That one's still fine. The negate is perfect. That said, because our opponent doesn't have that many card types, we're not going... Opponent might be flooded on lands? Nope. They have something. Go for blood, negate. Last card, the Zenith Flare. It has to be. Zenith Flare. Let's make sure to counter the correct thing. And our opponent is literally living off the top of the deck. It still could be the end for us, so... Odds are not great. Like, if our opponent top decks a Zenith Flare, it's over for us. We just saw that one for 8. No, and they're still cycling. Yeah, they could hit at any time. Please brick. No, it hasn't bricked. Oh, they bricked! They bricked! Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I did not lose to this deck. Oh, they bricked. Thank goodness. Okay, so we did make some good choices. We didn't force the Zareth because it really didn't fit. I think we kept the Rankles and extra out, because we kind of needed the extra card draw. 2 into the Stories, that was fine. Yeah, but we need more outs to... Because sometimes we need more outs to their graveyard, though. That said, let's go for another match. Let's see how far we can take this one. I was expecting to not do so well here, but let's be honest. I would be kind of tilted if I lost to the cycling deck. Yeah, sure, we were playing to their game plan, but let's be honest, nobody looks highly to the cycling deck. The cycling deck should be happy that Tybalt's Trickery has took the honors of being the meme deck that everyone loves to hate. And let's be fair, the cycling deck is relatively cheap. You can afford to dump your rares onto lands, which is actually a nice plus. In fact, I think our opponent should have opted for a Jeskai approach. But then again, it is a decent starter deck. You can steal quite a few wins. Your opponent might be... I don't know if it has great matchups against... Because let's see. You're leaning heavily on those Zenith Flares nowadays because a lot of your creatures, it's a hostile format for aggro. I know it's kind of weird. I'm saying this and I'm playing a deck that wants to be on the aggro. So there's a weirdness there. Okay, Thieves Guild Enforcer. We got some lands again. Not too happy with the mana mix. But we have some action, so I am going to keep this. Okay, the Black Bloom Rogue actually helps us. And we got a second Swamp, so we're kind of good to go. Now, seeing this already signals that this is a Sultai, either just straight Golgari control or it's Sultai. So I'm going to play this out. I want to play into Zareth Sand, so I'm going to play the Black Bloom Rogue as a creature. Opponent plays Archfiend's Vessel. Okay, this is a different take. Oh, okay, this is very different. This is not Sultai build. This is a Golgari build. Oh, it's an Esika style deck. Okay. So now that I know... In fact, we can now afford to just do this. Let's help our opponent put cards in the yard. Oh, this is different. Okay. So our opponent's gonna obviously block that. The nice thing for us is if they go for the reanimation, we have the removal for... Okay, they went for that instead. That was mean. So our opponent does have control elements. In fact, this does look like a straight control deck, though it does have some combo shenanigans here. Ice Hide Troll. So we will snipe the Ice Hide Troll. My concern is what these cards are. It's clearly not Alrund's Epiphany. Maybe I should add Snowlands if our opponent's gonna go for this. So opponent has the Skull Raid, so we'll let that resolve. We'll dump these two. If they go for the second Skull Raid, I have to let them draw cards. There's no way around it. Now, hoping to draw removal, because our opponent's... Well, that's actually fine. If our opponent removes it, we can just, well, Zareth San again. Now, it's going to be really bad when our opponent goes for reanimation, though. But this is a completely different build. Okay, opponent goes Blood Chief's Thirst. Please not another art... Okay, let's make sure we go to my turn. I think they've demonstrated other... No, they did not demonstrate other removal, so... Not exactly all according to plan, but it's still something. You know what? And I have no idea what to take here. I'm just going to take Essica. We don't have a choice to do it on the other side, but we'll get her out of the way. Opponent might be flooded. No, has Polukranos Unchained. Has the mana to fight Zareth San. So that hurts us a bit. So I might actually just Heartless Act, remove the counters. I would have loved to get that one back instead. And now the reason I'm doing this first is because our opponent escapes this. This will have 12 counters. There's no way Heartless Act's gonna bin that one. That said, I'm looking over our opponent's creatures. That Polukranos feels like a one-off. Thank goodness they ran out of... Do they have enough cards to... They actually have enough cards to get it again. So it's all sorts of annoying here right now. So we definitely want Cling to Dust because there are some cards that we need to remove. I think our opponent's just... Okay, binding the Old Gods, so they're taking their time here. That's fine. Gotta sort. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. ETB's tap. Okay, so if they have Prismatic Bridge, what are my outs against that? Spirit of the Out. So this is actually... You know what? Color me impressed. This deck, this card is interesting. And has the Faceless Haven. Probably should not have played that previous land if you know you were going to get Faceless Haven. You want to play that one instead. Fortunately, the Dismal Backwater is kind of dismal here. Yeah, this is definitely a control deck based on the cards that they're playing. Yeah, that main deck Polukranos was bad. They have Extinction Event, so that's also nasty. A lot of their outs are based on spells, but they have enough creatures to buy time, so... Okay, so I'm trying to determine how do I side. At least I know they have Faceless Haven, so Heartless Act's still alive. Yeah, you know what? I don't exactly. Yeah, and we're just feeding this one. I don't think we have enough outs. We're gonna go to the next one, and we're gonna go to the sideboard, see if we can save ourselves. So first off, agonizing remorse helps. Another bloodshot thirst helps. Into the story does not help when our opponent has ways to remove their graveyard. So the cling to dust does help. We cut the rebirth. Rankle's fine. They have some big creatures and we sometimes do want them to sack. Zareth Sand will shine here. Although they seem to be tutoring towards a few certain creatures. We will cut the Vantress Gargoyles. We'll cut one Black Bloom Rogue. I could... Or you know what? We cut one island. This is still 26 lands. The Black Bloom Rogue gives us an option in case we're flooded, because I really don't want to see too many islands here. I could even say cut one more, add the third Cling to Dust. Doesn't look like our opponent. Okay, we get slightly punished here. We do have a Cling to Dust, we have a Thieves Guild Enforcer, we need to draw into lands. I am not willing to top deck. This is a lot better. We will bin the Rankle. Yeah, we bin the Rankle. Question is, what we do play the Dismal Backwater first, because I am gonna go for the Agonizing Remorse turn 2. Hoping that we... Archfiend's Vessel. Okay, a bit late on that one. Okay, we got the third lands. Unfortunately, it's the wrong color. So, Esika, Alderguard, Bloodchief's Thirst. They're likely to hit Esika. Alderguard helps them. It's a World Tree away, though. We'll take the Esika. Though I probably think that I should have taken the Alderguard. Now, the caveat is, if we don't draw another black source, I would... Because I'd love to do the 1-2. Probably not gonna happen, though. Also, I should have noticed that our opponent probably would not have been able to cast Esika anyway, but I wasn't taking that risk. Okay, alternate plan since I'm not Oh, they have Terror Grid 2. So the good news is, if we draw any land that is untapped, we get to take... We'll probably take Terror Grid. That was expected. That was not expected. Yeah. Okay, so we will pass. If our opponent casts Spirit of the Alderguard, I will just counter it. Mega Godzilla... I think... Because... Here's the thing, if our opponent hits Reach on this, this is really bad. Actually, no, there's no there is no scenario where that's good. Opponent is stuck on mana, so actually, so far so good. Okay, the Dismal Backwater helps us. Yeah, if they hit the fourth land, they will play Spirit immediately. So we get to swing, we get to Zareth San. What do we take? I probably want to take Terror Grid. Is our opponent's Spider Senses tingling? Nope. Did not tingle hard enough. Hit something better. Oh, Binding is nice. Actually, there's no rush. We can probably just take the Binding. I really want to take Terror Grid though. Because the binding doesn't really help us. Let's just take Tergrid. It's kind of greedy though, but it does give us another creature on board. Now our opponent has demonstrated Skull Raid, but I would not be surprised if they sided that out. Yeah, the problem is we might have just opened ourselves up to a Polukranos, but no, there's no way around it. Polukranos would come... If opponent has Polukranos, it comes down now. No sequence of events would have protected it. At least with the Menace, I could. Yeah, we haven't... Now, would this be interesting as a card to have on... to play around with? Actually, I'm really concerned about how do I fix this deck. I know the cards that I want to take out. Like the Vantress Gargoyles, I want to sub them... I want to sub them for the correct pathways, so we have better, so we can mulligan less. But that leaves me 3 slots that are open. I was thinking Cunning. I was thinking of the hybrid rogue, the one that your flash spells can't be countered, so that does a number with quite a good number of with our cards. Actually, no, it only helps the Thought Thief and the Enforcer and Zareth-san. It makes Zareth-san cheaper to cast, but not for the activated ability. I could also shave some of the Nighthawk Scavengers. Unfortunately, in the mono-red world, when everyone's playing Frostbite. Okay, opponent pays 5 mana. It's not Polukranos if they're playing this over the Woodland Chasm. Redeems Awakening for an Archfiend's Vessel. Gets a 5/5. Okay. Okay, probably keep the Black Bloom Rogue because our opponent has enough cards in the yard. Do they have enough cards in the yard? They have enough cards in the yard. So I can swing with this one just to force a trade with Spirit. Because if I presented Zareth-san, that's an obvious block. Oh, they did have the Polukranos. Okay, so we'll play this one, but since we know what our next card is, I don't think we have enough outs here. Yeah, that was a top deck. No, they had the Polukranos for a while. Bad news is, okay, we need to present enough damage on board so that when our opponent moves to activate Polukranos, it kills it. Like, our opponent probably wants to snipe Zareth-san ASAP. They do that, so it's down to a 1/1. Priest of Haunted Edge, so I am forced to swing... Oh, opponent swings with that? Okay, we take the hit. So we will swing on the return. That's a good extinction event to take. Let's see if our opponent lets it go. Now our opponent can use just sack this priest, so I'm actually gonna hold up the... Okay, that's fine. Archfiend's Vessel again. Okay, we... no. Don't counter that spell. Thank goodness we killed the token. Whew! I almost misclicked that one. That would have been so stupid. But we're not gonna win this if Oh, Blood in the Snow. That's actually nice for our opponent. Oh, he's setting it up so that he can get it back next turn. He can cast it, but he won't be... So I literally have one shot with this. Yeah, now I would... Actually, the Into the Story is an issue because it's on the sideboard, not the main. We're not exactly geared towards it. And now we're flooding, so this is actually kind of good game for us. Opponent has a lot of good stuff. It has a lot of good stuff, and all we got stuck with was a... Well, it's not too crummy. But there you go. Can't be helped. That's how the situation was. I could have chosen not to attack, but no, it would have just prolonged the inevitable. So here's where we're kind of seeing some of the issues here. What makes the current version of Rogues work is ability to get a lot of stuff down fast, ability to make removal feel bad to use against, and the ability to draw cards. So I'm already seeing, because we have 6 rares in the form of the Vantress Gargoyles and the Nighthawk Scavengers, I can see keeping 2 of the Scavengers as a sideboard. We can go for the heavy mill plan that normally everyone does, so that would be... Okay, this one's good for us. Vantress Gargoyle question mark. But we can do turn 1 Enforcer, turn 2 Temple of Deceit Enforcer. Opponent goes first, so not great. Especially if our opponent cracks for red or black. Okay, black's not a good sign. What I can do also instead is I can just do the Temple of Deceit now. We need a 3rd land at this point, so we're gonna bin the Wind Robber. Okay, Zareth San, bit 2. So we're gonna take advantage of our opponent. Yeah, because we're gonna take advantage of our opponent going first, because now they want to definitely cast the... Oh, they're stuck. Okay, they might have another stomp, but I will still play the Enforcers now. Please remove. Please remove. Please cast your stomp. Perfect. Now we get to mill more. Now the bad news is we are feeding our opponent's deck. The good news is our opponent is stuck, so every land that we mill is good, is kind of good for us. Bad news is now we are the one that's stuck. I'm kind of tempted to just hold up the Drown in the Lock. Yeah, we're gonna hold that up. Now, if our opponent plays another land, just goes for the... If it's removal, claim the Firstborn. Nope. Yeah, no reason to... I do want to play the Vantress Gargoyle. It does give us options, but... We're just 1 land away from hitting with Zareth San. And Zareth San taking their Woe Strider would really hurt them. And our opponent, yeah, I think they kept a really greedy hand if they got stuck on mana at that point. Now it's our turn, so eliminate Heartless Act is good. Bloodchief's Thirst is also good. They're probably gonna have a lot of stuff like a Crow and War, so and since we're going second, okay, here's the thing. Unfortunate, Zareth San is good. Okay, first the Vantress Gargoyles are not good. I'm gonna put in 2 Duresses, 1 Cling to Dust. I want to put a second one at least. Yeah, I think there are too many Duresses in the sideboard. Rankle's great, Zareth's great. Nighthawk Scavenger, questionable because this is bad for us if our opponent has the... I'm gonna actually just take it. It's one of our good outs against... It's one of our good guns against a Resolved Kroxa, but it's also horrible if our opponent claims the Firstborn with it. Like 3 mana is not enough, so we're definitely keeping this. We're going to go Temple turn 1. Nighthawk Scavenger. Well, we did draw a Nighthawk Scavenger, so we're gonna go with it. So probably Tot Thief turn 2 into some backups turn 3 or whatnot. Opponent probably stomps us. Nope, no stomp. Okay. This time our opponent kept a better hand. Now our opponent probably has Fire Prophecies or Scorching Dragonfire at this point. Because 3 is the magic number. They're not running, so no Frostbites, but, well, that's what it is. Oh, they definitely have some. Okay, they did not have that, so we'll play the land. We'll swing first. I'm not gonna mill too quickly. There's a Croxa. I know, oops. Yeah, if you want to play sassy, we can play sassy. Opponent plays Mar Triton. We can eliminate that. Or do I even care and I just want to... Okay. Opponent wants to... Now, unfortunately, our graveyard's nowhere that deep, so we probably want to save that eliminate. In fact, we're going to be helping our opponent out quite a bit. Okay, I'm gonna just play the Dismal Backwater. We don't have a double man. We don't have a 4 mana play. So we are gonna help our opponent by filling up their yard. It will give us a little hit of extra damage. That's the good news. Okay, at least we sniped that. Yeah, and we don't exact opponent plays a Crone War. I'm actually fine with that. Yeah, because they're slightly behind. And in fact, it helps us because by the time this effect hits, so I'm actually tempted to play this, but let's see, we milled 1 claim. We milled 2 claims. Opponent could have another Crow Noir. Well, we have 2 of them. We need to pressure our opponent a little bit. And I kind of want to swing anyway with this, so that might not matter too much. Opponent has the landfall. Do they go for the big... No, I don't think they even go for the small Skyclave. They probably should just recast their Woe Strider. It gives them something to sack the Soaring Tot Thief too. Because I'm literally gunning for the damage plan here. The only nice thing is when Nighthawk Scavenger damages itself, that gains me the life. Dimir calls the dead. Okay, that loads up their yard. Okay, good hits, good hits. If they don't... Yeah, since they gave up on this one, they're not sacking it anytime soon. So... You know what? Let's snipe this. Let's get the damage through. They might have a kill spell. They might have... Oh, no. Oh, they probably have a Village Rites. They gotta love the banter. Oh, no. No banter. So... Okay. Forced to attack, but I'm not complaining. I do want to attack. And we're actually hitting for 9. Wow. So first Duress. Might force them to... It feels bad to use your kill spell now, considering that I... Well, no, there's actually a safe target. Sorry, Taut Teeth. Okay. No good targets there. So what's this? Each creature deals damage to itself? Okay. But now that I know that the coast is clear, we just dropped the second Nighthawk Scavenger, and all of a sudden I feel bad about talking trash about these guys. Oh wow, the Duresses. Well, the Duresses are too late at this point. Yeah, that's it. This now, this is probably an exception, not the norm. I guess it's karma because I think our opponent is a bit of a. Never mind. I'll say no more. But from the looks, but that is technically against us. It's not a matchup in our favor. Some of the cards are just. Some of our plays are admittedly very weird. Yeah, the duress was the correct call, especially since that especially since they've leaned on both having claimed the firstborn and a Crow Noir, addition to village rights, and the usual removal suite. Oh yeah, it's now the time for the red rares. I probably should check out if these are actually playable. I haven't bothered to check the blue ones yet. So at least we made our money back. So I'm actually happy with the Dimir decks right now. Question is, yeah, the Vantress Gargoyles are, they're very awkward, at least for me in rank, because you're not exactly drawing a ton of cards, so it's a good blocker early, but most of the time it's attacking late. But there are instances where it's neither going to be able to attack or block, and you're just using it to mill cards, so that's super feel bad. Having all your lands ETB tap is also feel bad, but we might have to. I'll just chalk this up to experience if this turns out to be really bad. Opponent has duress. We will lose the Drown in the Lock, and the gig is up. And we draw. Wow. Okay, there's a rebirth. I'm actually fine with having the rebirth, though the timing's a bit awkward. Let's see what our opponent plays next. If it's agonizing, Maze Mind Tome. Okay, so it's a control style. I'm curious to see if our opponent is going to go out of their way to kill a Merfolk Windrobber. Well, we do hit a Black Bloom Rogue. So I'm actually gonna pass. Now the bad news is both Windrobber and Black Bloom Rogue are odd, so if our opponent's playing mono black control of some sort, yeah, this is mono black control. Expect a lot of extinction events. So lay this out. Yeah, the extinction event would be really nasty. Unfortunately, I am priced in to play the rogue. Like if I draw to play Zareth Sand, that's also odd, which is gonna be annoying. My best bet is to somehow mill an Ugin. Yeah. Well, milling a Crawling Barrens is actually not too bad. Opponent's still chalking it up. Okay. They're probably not gonna bother to kill it now. So let's see. We do hit the land, so I'm not gonna play the Rankle quite yet, so we're actually gonna swing first. The opponent's actually gonna let it through. We do mill an Ugin. So we're knocking on wood that our opponent does not have an extinction event or Shadow's Verdict. If they draw a card, it doesn't look good because that probably means they have an extinction event already. Okay, not looking good for us. If they go for individual removal one by one, I'll actually be more happy because we will have one creature left over. That said, our opponent is in a... Now that said, opponent playing mono black, so I actually appreciate the blue black control more. At least that variant would have Ashiok as well. This one just is literally just played to Ugin. Everything is a removal spell. It's probably the... No, I have to say it's the most boring version of control. Yeah, there's the extinction event. I can't... Yep, can't do anything about that. Now let's hope we hit another land so I can... Let's hope we hit another land so I can rankle with Malakir Rebirth back up. No, it's Nighthawk Scavenger. So we do have some backup. I'm actually concerned now. This might be the one time when the Vantress... Okay. The Vantress Gargoyles actually fit well here. Not against the Shadow's Verdict, but it will do well against the Extinction event, so I should keep that in consideration. Our opponent could just have a hand of removal spells all up the Forsaken Mon. Oh, they're taking their time. So I guess we do go for Ugin. Go for their Ugin. So hold on, it's 4 to activate. They might have... Now that said, if they have their own Ugin, it's gonna be awkward. Malakir Rebirth does not save Ugin, but it will eat up quite a bit of their mana from Bloodchief's Thirst. In fact, if they have to use removal, we might be able to get it again. Okay, they're drawing card. Okay, they're now heavy on the card draw now that I've borrowed their Ugin. Like I said, they could just cast their own Ugin. It might become a Bolt War. Okay, Field of Ruin. They definitely have enough for Ugin plus 1 removal spell. Ugin having to minus for the Zareth Sand. It'll be sad to lose the Zareth Sand, but we get to... So, our opponent can make this a 4-4. If it's an extinction event, it's gonna be sad. Oh no, I think they're going for the Backbridge Troll. Yeah, make the goats. Do I -5? No, probably not. Pass to combat. Resolve. Sack creature. Now, at least extinction event on... Okay. I do want to play some backup. Oh, wait. Bit of an anti-timing. Probably should have also just bolted first. There's no well, then again, our opponent did not The interesting thing is we can Heartless Act. Okay. Malakir Rebirth. So we don't get the sack trigger, which is a shame. And that's pretty much the only good use of the... Can I play the black... No, we saved the Black Loom Rogue. We're kind of forcing our opponent to have have the removal for Ugin at this point. I am willing to just give up both these goats. Like, being able to ultimate this would be great. Massacre Worm. Okay, lose life, lose life. Solemn similar. Okay, so they went for the Solemn instead. So if they had, so it gives me the option to sack a creature. Sack. Zareth's not gonna hit anytime soon, so we sack Zareth. Take another 2. Opponent's still living it up. It's actually the point where I am willing to just -6. Well, we start taking hits from the Solemn though. You know what? Let's get greedy. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, no, we don't have to play this, but we can play this. Submit 7. And we have 1 drown backup, but okay. It's a question of what. Oh, we hit another Ugin. So I'm gonna feel so bad for our opponent. I should not have played this if I knew this was gonna happen. You know what? I think we can. Maybe we can wait. Nah, let's go greedy. Yeah, take 2. Yeah, this feels super weird. The creature suite is interesting and all that. We're probably gonna lose a lot of. Yeah, I'm literally hoping our opponent does not have multiple board wipes. Okay, if our opponent. Okay, here's the Blood Chief's Thirst. We'll let that resolve. We can't block with Vantress Gargoyle, but oh, we can finally attack now. That's the good news. Maybe I should have just played this land. Well, usually mono black does have some sort of discard. That's my concern. So, well, then again, their discard is usually pinpoint. Like, how many Duresses did we see our opponent play? Well, one. Extinction event. Now, if they have a second one, that would be really sad. But then again, because our power and toughness is split up. Oh wow, and the Zareth-san is free to swing again. We actually gave them so many cards. Well, between the Maze Mine Tomes and the Goats we sacked, we actually gave them quite a few cards. Okay, so they are playing the Solemn so that they have a blocker for Zareth-san. But we're probably just going to try to end it in the air. Yeah, we got 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15. We got 18. Okay, less damage now. So I played the I played the Rankle. Played the land. Okay, if we do the sack a creature... No, they sack the Solemn Simulacrum, which... Probably fine. We kind... And we take Ugin again. We can ping our opponent down to 3. Sack... Okay. Sack the Black Loom Rogue. Yeah, they're drawing more cards now. But wow, if we're not playing Ugins, we can always borrow. That's the nice thing. I probably end up say... We need to keep our flyers. That's for certain. The bad news is both our flyers are even, so... It's actually a weird case. Like, opponent plays another Clackbridge Troll. Oh, that'll gain them quite a lot of life. Extinction event. They name even. Okay. So I am forced to sack one. Yeah, they saw the line. That was actually very good of them. Do we have an out? Well, not quite. We don't have haste. The out is literally just to keep... So we're down to 3. So we're probably not gonna... Oh, and they're gonna go after the Ugin. Okay. Yeah, that was a long game. And I actually... Yeah, probably got too greedy with this one. We could have held an extra Zareth-san. If I thought things through. Was there a... Nah, that's good. So we're going to go to the next match. Zareth-san's very good considering our opponent is running Trolls and Massacre Worms. We need the negates. We probably want another... No, they have removed... We probably want another Blood Chief's Terse. I probably want No, we probably want some Duresses too. So, we cut the Rebirths. We cut the Vantress Gargoyles. Oh, they were quite good early, but I don't think they're gonna hold up that well. Eliminate is good against their Crawling Barons. Heartless Act is good against everything else. Yeah, we don't have that much pinpoint removal. That's an issue. Drown is good also. Probably cut... No, we cut the islands. I probably could have put Into the Story also, but... Oh yeah, I probably should have put Into the Story now that I think of it. Whoopsies. Yeah, because our... Well, but we have to assume our opponent is going to start putting Cling to Dust, so... Yeah, Into the Story is not great at 7 mana. It's great at 4 if we can catch them on unawares, but this is not the build for it. So we play first. Okay, not too bad. Wind Robber into some sort of protection. We get to mill a few early cards. This is not the best hand, I'll be honest. Like the eliminates. Oh, do they have it already? Yeah, Blood Chiefsters. Okay, that's where it all falls apart. So we hold up the negate for the obvious duress. Yeah. I can already see what cards I'm going to exchange with. I want to put some room for Hagra Mauling, but I need to prioritize Okay, now here's a bit of a strange situation. I want to play Nighthawk Scavenger. I don't want to play it without protection. I want to at least have five mana up. That's what makes this one awkward. It looks great on paper on 3 mana, but 3 mana for an X3 in a format where everyone's playing removal is not so great. So I guess Nighthawk Scavenger kinda... Yeah, it kinda suffered from the success of the other rogues. So Necromentia, yeah, that's a good negate target. So I'm actually gonna play the Nighthawk now. Because I want to encourage our opponent to try to kill this and get cards in their yard so that our Drown in the Loch is not only countering an X2 mana spell. Not hit. Get a few more cards in the yard. Yeah, it looks like our opponent might have shifted towards more a sorcery build, instant sorcery build, or this was the part that I was really afraid of. Like our opponents is gonna just do nothing but sit behind their spells. But the problem is we have no way of catching up. Our Zareth Sun is a glorified 4/4 at this rate. Probably should let them draw the card. Yeah, I'm gonna let them draw the card. At least we now have something that that's solid to get with Zareth Sun, and it's not chump either. Oh, we got 2 of them now, so we have a backup Zareth. Of course, it's gonna be awkward if the next thing we have to fight is a Clackbridge Troll or a... Yeah, this is my issue with Eliminate. I'm actually... Well, Eliminate is cheap, so that's the good thing about it. The not so great thing about it is that... Well, it's actually better now that people are playing Faceless Haven alongside Crawling Barrens. Yeah. Well, these got our opponent down to 2 cards. And we get to Nighthawk Scavenger. Yeah, but this Eliminate's not looking so great. It's actually tempting to just hold back and just replay the second Zareth Sun, but... Clackbridge Troll... Yeah, at least we get the goats. Yeah, but we're letting our opponent draw quite a few cards in the process. But it looks like our opponent's stuck... Or... Yeah, they might not have drawn a removal spell at this point. Wait. They could still have a creature type spell though. Maze might... I don't know. It just looked like a fast pass. Ay, ay, ay. Necromentia. This time it is gonna hit. If you name Zareth, well, you got us. The interesting thing is that we could have just not cast this one. We would have been able to cast. Well, in response to the Necromentia, we would have just. Opponent was sufficiently traumatized by that though. However, if our opponent has enough removal, that's an issue. Tormod's Crypt. Is it to eat my yard or your yard? No, it's a. In fact, I would have preferred Soul Guide Lantern. I don't think our opponent knows that we don't have a way of getting card. We don't have a reanimation spell. We probably should. That's already one of the few cards I'm considering putting in. We got our minimum 4 matches and we are playing Shadow's Verdict. Yeah, as you can see, super. Yeah, it's just a mono black that's super hostile at this point. I'm gonna try to hold off a bit, but no, our opponent can see the eliminate, so they will not be activating Crawling Barrens anytime soon. No, they also have the Cling to Dust, so yeah, they're gonna draw tons of cards off our yard at this rate. Solemn Simulacrum again. Yeah, could I have sided out the eliminate? No, because the Crawling Barrens is a real threat. And yeah, we kind of lost control at this point. Yeah, this is good game. Yeah, between the Maze Mine Tomb and the first match was very valiant. But we just got hit by an untimely rat effect. So we know what we need at this point. Basically, we need to shore up on counter spells. In fact, there's some interesting choices here. The Blood Chief's Thirst, I'm not too sure if we want the third. There's some cases where you do want a third copy. The Pestilent Haze is a questionable one. Like, it was great against that cycling matchup, but I don't think it helps us anywhere else. On the bright side, at least we didn't really lose much. So there we go. So we're now going to do a quick investigation on the deck to see how we can fix things up. First, we're going to start with the stuff that we're going to remove. And that one is quite easy. So actually, probably one thing I should have done is turn off this. Gives us more real estate to work with. So, okay, Malakir. Let's turn off the meme cards first. The Malakir Rebirth Ghost. Black Loom Rogue makes sense. Vantress Gargoyles, no. So, we're giving ourselves the same allowance as before, which is 2 mythics and 2 rares as additions, and that's it. In fact, this deck has 1 less mythic, but I think it might have more rares. I'll check the. Let me check the. I wish there's an easy way to count. Check the deck list, count how many cards each has, in terms of rarity. So 4, 8, 12, 15. Oh, in fact, the mono red has 3 mythics. The mono green has 3 mythics. So let's do a rare count again. So 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 21. Okay, so the red has 21 rares. The green one has 3, 6, 8, 11, 13, 15, 17, 21, 22, 23, 23 rares. They gave us those, and we get one mythic and 17 rares. Okay, so if you're buying the deck, I would recommend just buy commons and just buy the commons and uncommons, and just buy the singles at this point. In terms of value, you're not getting much. Then again, yeah, actually, in terms of value, you're not really getting much. Your value's in the temple, and the temple is not very big. Thieves Guild Enforcer, I'm not so sure in the price, but that is a core set card, so that probably not that many copies. A lot of the rares, however, are not that valuable. Anyway, first things first, we cut 4 of those. So I'm going to cut 4 lands. And give ourselves 4 Clearwater, Murkwater pathways. That should shore up our matchup a bit. Even then, I still want to change this into a 5/8. Then we need to look for actual rogues that we want to play. Preferably with Flash. Glassbloom Mimic is an option instead of Black Bloom Rogue. Like, however, it copies a creature you control, so it's good if you're ahead. It's horrible if you're behind. Like I said, I wanted to add 2 mythics, so Brazen Borrower would be a good add here. That said, that's another odd CMC, but the bounce is a good one. The bounce is a good issue. It can sometimes save your bacon quite a few times. That said, Acquisitions Expert, yeah, being able to attack their hand is probably just as good as being as attacking their graveyard. So I'm gonna put 2 Acquisitions Experts in also for now. The Nighthawk Scavenger. So first off, Cling to Dust. 3 copies is too much. 3 copies of Duress is too much. So I'm gonna cut 2 cards. I'm gonna actually move 1 Nighthawk Scavenger into the sideboard. I'm tempted to cut these 2, but we're not exactly adding any actual rares at this point. Like, here's the Cunning Nightbonder. This one, it spells with Flash, so it benefits the Zareth Sand and some of the other cards, but doesn't benefit much else. So it's cute, but it's not a must-have. Fairy Vandal. We're not exactly drawing that many cards. In fact, we need to shore up the card draw issue. Ghostly Pilferer. Draw cards, but super slow. Nimble Trap Finder. Nah, we're never gonna get full party. So, unfortunately, it's really Zulaport Duelists. Well, Surefooted at 4, it's expensive. I would rather just have another Rankle at that point. So, in the black end, not so much. Is there any cards I'm missing? Nope, these are all the rogues. Vargot is interesting. It gives us a way to tutor for our other stuff, but that's very slow as well. Probably should shore up the removal. In fact, like, one thing we can do is we can cut 1 Brazen Borrower. We probably should have both, but we're gonna cut 1. I'm gonna cut 1 Island because we have too many of those. And we're gonna just add a 1 of Agadeem's Awakening. That one that is a way to get cards back. And we shouldn't scoff on that one. That is still a good option. We have to... And I probably want to rebalance this out. Like, Agonizing Remorse, not so great here. Into the Story, I probably want to replace it with, say, 4 of 1 Minds, because, let's see. We now have 4, 6, 10. We now have 12 humans, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 8, 9, 10, 11. There, of 1 Mind might actually be better than Into the Story, though Into the Story is more explosive. What I'm actually going to do is put some of those put some of those in, give us an extra way to draw cards. I could just add the Into the Story main here, but we are not exactly going for the full mill plan. If you want to go for the full mill plan, there's always Ruin Crab. That would be a good fit. However, you have to be careful that some decks are well geared against this, so you don't exactly want to go ham on the mill all the time. That said, so I actually forgot to do a... So I think I still have my two rare allotment. So what I'm actually gonna use... So what good rares would I add here? We are adding more lands at this point, so... Probably not the Skyclave Shade's interesting, but not on our side. There's the Call of the Death Dweller. I'm probably gonna add 2 of those here. It buys back up to Black Bloom Rogue, so Zareth Sun's kind of out of the picture, but that's fine. It helps us on the sideboard. We may consider our own Necromentia. That is a possible replacement as well. So I'm actually gonna... No, I want to keep the extra Blood Chief's Terse. I'm probably gonna cut the Agonizing Remorse. Yes, it hits more, but it's more often than not we want to just play the Duress instead. I guess a pair of Necromentia is not too bad. I probably want an extra... Well, it's either Negate or Disdainful Stroke, actually. A lot of the spells that kill us are on the high end, so... Let's first get that Disdainful Stroke. Probably 1 in the sideboard. Let's put 2 in the sideboard. I like the Negate and Disdainful Stroke mixture. Into the Story still helps. Cling to Dust still helps. Maybe 1 Necromentia. We don't need that many. Then as for our lands, hold on, let's do a sanity check on our lands. 24, 25, 26, 27. Yep, it's pretty much the same. We're actually still keeping the Black Bloom Rogues. And that's because we want to have a good density of creatures. So I actually want to cut 2 islands for 2 Juari Disruptions. Now take note, I'm using Pathways here. Another alternative you can do instead of Pathways is Fabled Passage, though you don't hit... But you don't get the benefit of them entering the battlefield untapped, which in a deck that wants to run 1 and 2 drops is vital. That said, I'm going to run at least 2 disruptions here. We're going to cut 2 swamps. Yeah, I want to add the Hagra Mauling at least. But maybe not. That's too many lands that enter the battle. And we're leaning now at 1831, so that's actually better for us. Yeah, maybe not too many. Maybe don't cut that many. We'll just... So between this one, this is probably my preferred mix. I'd like the idea of having extra counter spells. We're still functionally at 27 lands. There is a argument for, say, cutting 1 Zareth, but I think what will happen is you balance between Zareth and Nighthawk Scavenger. As far as the sweeper... As far as sweeper options... Suffocating Fumes is instant, but it's too soft. There's Witch's Vengeance. This is the one I was considering, but... Crippling Fear is expensive at 4 mana, but that's also a decent choice. We're running... I'm not sure on the Acquisitions Expert as a good idea. I would rather just have another flash creature, but we kind of loaded out between the Robber and Enforcer. These are all 4-offs already at this point. If you have the budget, I'd probably say add more Brazen Borrowers, but I like the idea of adding more even cards just to balance our risk profile. As you can see, we've been wrecked by one too many extinction event. And well, there you go. This is our revised deck list. That's it for this episode of the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications and whatnot. Do check out the deck list in the description. And yes, let me know. Admittedly, this is not the full mill plan. I didn't want to change it way too much, but also because it does suffer some vulnerabilities. At least with Zareth, we have a good shot at game one. At least in certain matchups, we just don't have a good shot on all of them. But we still stand a chance, and that's kind of what I'm leaning on. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time, and do check out my previous green mono red challenger deck examinations, and stay tuned when we finally do the Azorius control one. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Take care, God bless, stay safe wherever you are. Have a great week, everyone.